This is a message to Claire Coutinho, the new Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero. This also goes to the 100 or so MPs that have been contacted by their local constituents regarding the Ofgem conflict of interest issue. And this obviously also goes to the hundreds of people that have contacted their MPs about this issue. So, first of all, Claire, the email you would have just received from me with the link to this video in holds all the evidence I have that there was a conflict of interest. I just want to say that this call for an investigation isn't about the conflict of interest existing. We understand that these things happen and that Ofgem have a policy for dealing with it. The issue here is A, who had the interest, and B, how long it existed. So the conflict of interest was held by Neil Lawrence, who was the director of retail at Ofgem. He was in charge of our price cap from June 2021 up until June 2023. So it's 2 years, and for 22 months of that, he had a conflict of interest in that his wife owned shares in SSE. Now, Ofgem's conflict of interest policy allows for up to 9 months for a conflict of interest to be resolved. Through communications with the chairman of Ofgem, Martin Cave, we found out that there was a mistake internally that allowed Mr. Lawrence, Neil Lawrence, to hold those shares for the 22 months. He was basically told at the start of his directorship that it's okay that his wife is a shareholder. And because he was told it was okay, he kept the shares. Now, common sense dictates that as a regulator of energy companies, you nor your family should be beneficiaries of those energy companies. You can't be a shareholder. That's common sense. If a policeman told me it's okay to punch a random stranger in the face, and I told the judge, well, the policeman said it's okay, I'm still going to jail. Okay? His common sense should have kicked in, and it shouldn't have been allowed to happen for 22 months. Now, across that 22 months, we obviously had the energy crisis. We are not saying that he is to blame for the energy crisis. I understand the wholesale gas market went crazy, and that's what made our bills skyrocket. But what I am saying is that they made 22 decisions across that time period to increase or add new allowances in the price cap. They changed the methodology on old allowances, or they added new ones. 22 decisions to increase. That has increased our bills by hundreds of pounds per year. And Neil and his wife have benefited from those decisions. Now, the SSE shares over that time period went up by about 30 to 35%. We're calling for an investigation as to whether or not his conflict of interest made an impact on those decisions. If it turns out that his wife only held 5, 10 shares, some really small minor number that's not going to impact him financially, then we're not on a witch hunt here. We'll stop talking about it. We'll go away and go, okay, there's clearly not a big deal. However, we don't know how many shares she held. If she held 50,000, and then all of a sudden there is a massive conflict of interest there where he has significantly financially benefited. Now, in that situation, we're obviously going to be asking for all of those 22 decisions to be reversed, for there to be something put in place for us to claw back that extra money that shouldn't have been given to energy suppliers. We need to understand whether or not this conflict of interest actually impacted the decisions he made. And if so, they need to be rectified. Now, again, we're not on a witch hunt. If it is nothing, we will drop it immediately. But we have heard from a lot of your MPs that it's not your job to regulate Ofgem. To which I say, then whose is it? We can't go to the board of directors at Ofgem because they obviously have reasons to say, well, there's nothing going on here. We're not going to share this information with the public, and we don't want to do an investigation. They obviously have to cover their own backs. Someone needs to be monitoring the top level of Ofgem, and seeing as you guys set out the regulations that control Ofgem, you guys are in charge of the country, I naturally assume you're the people we need to talk to. If I'm wrong, if there's a different body we need to talk to, then fine, let me know, and we'll go to that body and we'll ask them to start an investigation. But this is a serious problem that needs to be taken more seriously than it has been so far. Around a third of the MPs that have been contacted, that I've copied into that email I've sent you, have sent back template emails, which a lot of their constituents are quite angry about because no one wants a copy and paste email about a serious issue. Another third, give or take, haven't replied at all. And the rest of the MPs have asked for evidence of this issue or have said they will contact you about this issue. Hence why I've copied them into the email where I presented all the evidence to you. If you're interested in seeing the 22 decisions that were made that increased our price cap, there's also a link in the email where I have those listed out in a table as to when they were created. It's also worth noting that under Neil's directorship, before he left, he started the consultation to change the profit levels, or the way profit is calculated in the price cap, and that ended up with an increase in profit for energy suppliers, which a lot of people are quite angry about, considering the record profit levels that are being announced by British Gas at being 10 times higher than their previous. It does feel a little unfair, and obviously then finding out about this conflict of interest that lasted for 22 months, an excessive period of time, draws into question the integrity of those decisions. I do want to say to Neil that if this does end up being nothing, I apologise. Okay, I understand that this is causing a lot of undue stress for you, and I'm not trying to accuse you of anything. What I'm saying is we need to investigate on our side as to whether or not there is a problem there. Obviously, from my experience of having met you, you've been quite open with us, challenging Ofgem to try and do the best for consumers, and this is, again, all I'm trying to do here. I do hope it turns out that this is much ado about nothing, but until an investigation has been launched, I'm going to keep putting pressure on this because it has to be investigated. We need to know whether or not those decisions were made in good faith. So, Claire, I do hope you take this on board, or if not, please get back to me and let me know where I need to be directing this request. If you have any other questions, you have my email address. It's also in the description below on this video. And I just want to say to the hundreds of people that have contacted your local MPs, thank you for being active. We need to be making sure that our regulators are held to account on things when mistakes are made. If they're minor mistakes, we'll go easy, and if they're major mistakes, we won't. So I'll keep you up to date with anything I hear back on this. I'm also planning to put into motion something to try and reverse the decision to increase supplier profits going forwards. I'll be contacting Ofgem about that first, because I think there's a better way of doing it. I don't want this to be a contentious issue. I just think there's a better way of doing what they're trying to do, and I'm going to be trying to get that implemented. So I will let you know what that is in the coming days after I've contacted Ofgem, and I'd appreciate your support again so that we can try and make sure the profits aren't going up unnecessarily, or at the very least that energy suppliers are working to bring their costs down to ensure that their profits go up, which I personally would be okay with. If they knock £1,000 off of my annual bill and they get an extra £100 profit out of me, that works in everyone's favour. So yeah, keep up the great work. Thank you again for your support. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe to the Over 50s Money YouTube channel, turn on the little notification. It helps us, which means we can keep helping you. Thank you.